everybody, and welcome back to Unfiltered Perspectives. I'm Tara.
I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Leslie.
As we move from summer into fall, we often experience transitions both physically and mentally. Those long, sunny days start to shorten, and the chill in the air encourages us to just, adjust our routines, our mindsets, and even our emotions. Today, we're going to talk about how this seasonal shift impacts our well-being and how we embrace the changes that fall brings. Whether you're someone who thrives in cooler weather or you find yourself longing for those warm summer days, let's talk a little bit about how we transition and can make the most of this beautiful time of year. This is Unfiltered Perspectives, where real talk leads to real growth and every perspective is valued. And just to get the discussion started, I do have a few questions to guide us. For instance, my first question, I guess, is how does the change in seasons affect your daily routine?
I thought that this was a very interesting topic. I really don't know that there's much of a shift for me from season to season. So I'm really interested to hear what you ladies have to say as far as the changes that you go through, mental, physical, emotionally. So I'm interested to hear from you ladies.
Yeah, I know you've been bragging about how you live in a forever summer
Yes,
state.
I am in Florida, so it is a forever summer for me. Although that has not always been the case. It's been for the last 2 years. So yes, it's a forever summer for me. So
Okay.
So does that mean it doesn't get cold like New Jersey cold, or
oh,
it really stays like 70, 80 all year round?
it definitely does not get New Jersey cold. It's interesting because my son leaves for school at about 6:15 ish in the morning, and he swears that it's cold. But this comes from a kid who wears a hoodie pretty much all year long, which I don't understand. I leave at about 5:15 in the morning, and I don't wear a jacket at 5:15 in the morning. It's already warm to me. I open the windows for air. So, yes, I am showing off just a little bit. I have not experienced any cold weather in 2 years. So, I'm sorry.
That was my sigh of jealousy and
Yeah.
whatever.
So, you
But
know,
wait,
and people, I would think that people that are originally from here
Mhm.
would probably consider 60 something, 50 something cold. I'm from New Jersey and I lived in Virginia. So I know what cold is.
Mhm.
60 something to me, even 50 something probably wouldn't feel like cold to me.
Okay.
So yeah, this is really truly forever summer weather.
Okay, so Kim, what about you? Have you noticed any like shifts in your habits, like exercise, outdoor activities, or anything like that?
so I definitely have shifts. One of the things that I started doing during the pandemic lockdown was walking to the ocean for the sunrise, which I still do. And because the time of the sunrise changes as the year changes, that definitely guides what my morning looks like. And so now the sun is rising between 6:45 and 7 a.m. And so what that means is I'm not walking, I'm not leaving my house to walk until like 5:30, 5:45, as opposed to in the summer when the sun is rising at 5 a.m. So it shifts the start of my morning a little when the sun is rising later in the day. It also means that sometimes I'm just not doing that because I don't want to be cold. So I'm going to the Y. So I'm not sure if that's technically answering your question, but it's just the timing of my day, which has as much to do with the timing of the sunrise as the turning of the season.
It does answer the question. I know that for myself, as the days get shorter, I'm getting tired earlier in the evening, I guess. And so I start to feel more tired, like more sluggish. And it's
Yeah.
harder. It's getting a lot harder also to wake. I know in the summertime, I'm fine with waking up earlier because the sun is already out, it's bright, you get your day started. But now when I wake up, it's still dark outside and cold. And I'm like, ugh, I just want to stay in bed a little bit longer. But also, as far as different activity levels, I know that a lot of times in the summertime, or if you live in a forever summer state, you might like to spend, people like to spend a lot of time outdoors.
Yeah,
They
that's
do things like swimming and walking and just spending a lot of time outdoors. But when the weather starts to get colder and the days are shorter, it's a lot more common for people to move those activities inside. So
yeah.
like you said, you go to the Y and stuff like that. I mean, you're doing it already, but go to the Y. And what also happens is that one of the problems, and it's for some people, if they don't spend a lot of time outdoors, they kind of suffer both physically and mentally or emotionally.
Mhm.
And I think that that is something that we can talk about. Have you noticed that, or if as the weather gets colder or cooler, you moving away from summer, does your diet change?
So those are, can we still do one of those at a time?
Yeah, of course.
So because I think what you might be talking about is seasonal affective disorder, right? That people's not necessarily.
That is something I was going to bring up later, but that's not necessarily what I'm talking about.
So I'll tell you a different story. So right now I have a lot more control over my work schedule. But I do remember one particular year, I'm working a 9 to 5. I'm commuting. I think at that point I was probably commuting from New Jersey to Manhattan. And so I would leave the house, it would be dark. I would be in an office building all day. And by the time I left that building, it was dark again. And so I was feeling tired and sluggish. And I don't remember if I went to a doctor for some regular checkup or if I went especially because I was feeling so tired and sluggish. But I had a serious, serious vitamin D deficiency because I was literally not getting any sunlight for months at a time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this thing that Kim just mentioned, what did you call it, Tara, that you were going to speak on?
She said is seasonal affective disorder. And we can talk about it now because that is also part of some people's mental transition from summer into fall. I just meant that that's not necessarily just because someone has normal seasonal transitions, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's seasonal affective disorder. The seasonal affective disorder is something that is much more serious for some people.
Okay. Can you define that for listeners?
All right. So seasonal affective disorder, which was known by the acronym SAD, which makes sense actually,
Mm-hmm.
it's a type of depression and it usually occurs or often occurs during the fall or winter. And it's that during that time period when there's a lot less natural light and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times it leaves people feeling depressed. They can feel tired. They can feel withdrawn. They can feel here's the thing, unusually sad.
Just wanted everyone to have a general idea if, like me, who had actually had never
Okay.
heard before.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not just like a passing feeling. It's something that can really significantly impact a person's daily life. And there are symptoms that you can look out for, which would be like persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness, low energy, changes in your sleep habits or your sleep patterns, changes in your appetite, even, which I had not really thought about. And it's different from normal, like I said, normal feelings because it's something that is not necessarily transitory. Like, yeah, sometimes people, when the seasons change, they can feel off a bit. They can feel depressed because you're losing your summer, like those carefree days of summer, and now you're in the drudgery of back to school. Things are dark, and there's no time to do anything. You get up, you go to work, you come back. You get up, and it's go to work when it's dark. You come home and it's dark, and so you don't have time or to do anything else. So things like that, it can make people sad. But with SAD, the seasonal affective disorder, it can last for weeks. It can last for months. It can be something that can affect your relationships. It can affect your work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's something that could also, you can have a pattern of it, whereas it can be something that happens to you over and over and over again over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I even read that it could be something that is genetic or something that's passed down generationally. I also read that sometimes it can feel worse when it's cloudy out when the weather is bad, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it gets better when people are exposed to sunlight.
And
And so
that I
yeah.
have, yes, yes, yes.
And I would
Question
add that
about the food, the eating though, the appetite. Do you think the summer versus the winter months and the eating habits has to do with just, for instance, like I said, me being in Florida and someone that's in a much colder state like you guys? Yes, that in there. But no, you kind of, when it's, summer months, you're out and about and you're more active. And those cold months when you're indoors and you're not doing as much, you're not busy and you get in a rut. And you kind of just you're not doing as much, you're not as busy. Because
Mhm.
for me, if I'm indoors and I'm not active and I'm bored and I'm feeding my boredom and I'm not eating right, I'm not getting out. Do you think that has a lot to do with our diet, our appetite, our energy level? Do you think that plays a part?
I think maybe. I think also for me, some of it has to do with the foods that are available. So, for example, I'm finding different foods in the grocery store in the summer than I am in the winter. In the summer, I'm finding watermelon and peaches and cherries. In the winter, I'm finding apples and oranges and
Mm,
pears. I mean, maybe a little less so because for the most part, with like
That
every-
global food chain supplies, we can find anything, anywhere, anytime we want. And I'm still more likely to find those like oranges and apples and pears and squash
Mhm.
in the winter and fall and like the cherries and
that
the
causes people are just, I think, generally more active.
well, I think it depends. It changes what I'm cooking for myself. So I'm more
Mhm.
likely to make so what's available changes what I'm cooking for myself, but also the temperature. So I love ice cream. I don't really want to eat ice cream in the winter when I'm already cold.
Right.
Um, I don't really want to eat. I'm more likely to want a soup or a stew or a
Mhm.
chili to warm me up in the
Mhm.
winter than like a salad.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. In the fall, you tend to think of comfort foods. And also, during that time, you have the holidays. So you're talking about baked goods that you don't necessarily
Yeah.
have or have an inclination for during the summertime.
Yeah.
So definitely it can play a part, like the activity level and also the foods that you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think that, yeah, in the summer, I think you have much more of a variety of, a lot of people are into like locally grown things, much more variety of fresh foods
Yeah.
rather than having to people resort in the colder months to more processed foods a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
more carb heavy foods a lot of times. So I guess we can talk about some of the things that we can do to, I guess, I don't know, find enjoyment or lessen the depressive, if people find it that way, that depressive state that comes with the shorter days and the not being able to enjoy yourself as fully outdoors as you might like. And I think one of the things that we mentioned is taking your outdoor activities inside.
Right.
Some people enjoy going to the gym or the Y or doing yoga or home workouts or anything, walking around in the mall even. You can't do it outside. You can walk around the mall. But staying active, Aunt Leslie, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
it can help you keep your energy up. It can help you shake off that. I keep saying sluggish, but that's what it feels like sometimes.
It
That
is.
sluggish feeling that creeps up on us in the fall.
Yeah. It is. It is that sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. But
And
that is exactly what I was about to stress again, that if you already know that that time is approaching and you're used to being outdoors or you're used to walking or working out, then
mhm.
ahead to get that gym membership or get into the mall where you can walk or get you indoor, workout plan
Mhm.
for your living room or
Mhm.
whatever to do, get started ahead of time. I'm talking to myself right now.
I
Yeah.
mean, there are
Or
still
even
ways too to keep that outside workout. So for
mhm.
example, I don't like to be cold. And I can prepare for my walks in the morning. I have longer pants instead of like my little capris that keep my calves out. I also have a second outer layer of pants. I walk with gloves and a scarf and a vest that can, so I have like different, I can wear more layers into the
Mm-hmm.
fall and winter to extend the amount of time I'm able to do that outdoor workout.
Yeah.
Because there also is really something to be said for just getting outdoors a certain
Yeah.
amount of time every day or every week.
I want to go back to the foods real quick. I mentioned like processed foods, but there really are lots of fresh foods and produce and things that you can find during the fall and winter. You mentioned Kim, apples, you have sweet potatoes, you have squash, you have pumpkins. All of these are seasonal nutritious foods, forms of nutrition. Yeah. Yeah. And so they help us, they still give us that cozy fall feeling without relying too much on the heavier comfort foods. And I like the idea that you had about layering up and still being able to get out there and walk if it's not too dangerous. And I love taking walks out in nature. Fall is one of my favorite seasons because I get to walk, you get that nice cool breeze, get an exercise, you get to see, well, depending on where you are, you get to see like the leaves change and just being outside in nature and enjoying
Yeah, I
that
mean,
fresh, crisp air. And
I do miss
ticks.
that little chill, that little bite. I do miss it sometimes.
mhm.
I don't think I've worn a hoodie since I've been here.
Oh my goodness, get your hoodie and your vest.
I know. I haven't. I miss that little, warm my
Mhm.
warm hoodie. It's too hot for it. It's too hot for it.
Listen, at 60
Oh,
degrees, I would most definitely be rocking that hoodie.
mm,
Yeah, it's too hot for it. I have to really wear it.
mm.
Man, what right now is not even that cold.
Guys, she just put her hood on for me. I have a lot of
But
hoods. I haven't had to wear them. So
I will say
But
also about the outdoors, ticks are a real problem here where I am. And once the weather cools down, they are less of a problem. And so I am more likely to take that walk in the woods in the fall than in the summer. But also, I'm not taking a walk in the woods because y'all not gonna find me out here cut up.
wow. Oh, okay.
right.
Okay. Like
Yes.
where I am, I worry about coyotes and bears and things like that. But all right, you have a whole different kind of worry. But so also, we talked about getting that sunlight in. Did you guys know that they actually sell light therapy boxes or light therapy lamps and stuff like that that pretty much give you the same effect that being out in the sun if you can't get outside, or that mimics that effect, and it does affect your mood.
Why, yes, I did know that. I was going to tell you, well, I was not going to tell you all about light therapy. I just was going to say, hey, also some people do light therapy,
Yes.
which is about all that I know about it. So there you go.
Well, I looked it up to see how affordable that is because it's easy to say, oh, do light therapy. And then you find out it costs thousands of dollars. But no, they actually sell devices that you can get for under $50 on Amazon.
Or Amazon.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
money for
but
this.
but they're different. They have different kinds of light therapy type things. So you have ones that are specifically for skin things, but then they also make ones that are for this particular purpose, for mood and emotion and things like that.
Oh, I wonder also about weighted blankets. I have never tried a weighted blanket.
Oh, they are so heavy. They are really.
Okay.
If you ever want to try, we have some here. If you want to try one, see what it's like.
I have to get invited to visit.
You don't need an invitation. You're always welcome. You know that. You know that.
That's your sister. You don't need an invitation. You just show up.
Well, give us a heads up. But yes.
You just
So I guess the final question I have is, how do you personally or spiritually reflect during this season? Because I guess like fall is known as the season of harvest. So do you have any kind of reflection that you do during this time?
I don't.
I mean, so I am not Jewish, though many of the people who I worship with as Unitarian Universalists have a background in Judaism. And so we do spend some time thinking about Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah and these days right now. Right now, we are literally in the middle of the days of awe, which is a time of reflection and a time for repentance. And so that's a part of my fall, reflecting on the year, reflecting on where I have I will use the word sinned. Other people might use a different word, but where I have behaved in ways that I need to repent for and thinking about how to get myself back on a right track.
Mhm.
Wow, she said a mouthful. I feel kind of like I need to get it together, but no.
Only because I literally just preached about this yesterday. So it's in my head.
I think of it when I see like the trees losing their leaves and things like that. It does remind me of just shedding the things of the past or shedding things that are hindering me or causing disruption or causing disappointment or whatever it is. And I do see it as a time to reset or refocus or to reflect on what has gone wrong or what has gone right and what I can do to move on from that, either to develop the things that are going well or to revamp. Because I think as we head into like the latter part of the year, we start reflecting on thinking about the resolutions that we made in the beginning of the year and thinking about how well our actions have aligned with it. Have we met these goals? Have we fallen short? At least I do. I don't know other people, but
Do you do that? Do you like set out goals at the beginning of the year and then check in with yourself at some point in the year?
I do. I try to check in with myself periodically. I don't wait until the end of the year, but I do.
And I think I do the opposite. I think towards the end of the year, I do it, but I don't do it seasonally or periodically throughout the year. As we come to the end of the year, I kind of check in with myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I definitely want that to be one of our upcoming topics. I don't have like a regular practice around this.
Yeah.
But maybe I can develop one.
Yes, you can. Oh, I'm sorry. There was one more thing that I wanted to mention. We talked about the physical changes that happen. Did you guys know that the cooler weather can affect our immune systems?
You talk to me, Miss Arthritis over here. That had a lot to do with my move, this warm weather and these arthritic joints of mine.
Mhm.
And I was so sick of the cold weather. And it makes a huge difference in this inflammation. So absolutely.
We have that. We also have that, as the weather gets cooler, people are indoors more. They're more susceptible to cold and flu and passing back and forth these germs. So my PSA is to make sure, if you're so much so inclined, to get your flu shots.
Only
Yeah.
flu?
Well, that's what I'm gonna say. But yeah, all the shots. Get all the shots that you can get that you need to get. Flu, pneumonia, all these kinds of things. There are a lot, especially as you get older, that you need to do.
I definitely did get my COVID vaccine, but apparently I could not get, well, my insurance would not pay for my flu vaccine because it has not been a year since my last one.
Oh.
I know, right?
So guys,
What was that?
no, I was thinking because I have not yet told you guys my scripture. It's Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, which says, "For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven." And it just reminds us that every season has a purpose, and fall is an opportunity for reflection, for growth, and for preparation for what's next.
We're bundling up against that cold.
Yeah. Anything else, guys, before I close it out?
Have you had your last watermelon of the season?
Yeah, I had that a long time ago, girl.
Wow.
Did you?
It did. I had made the decision I wasn't going to have anymore. And then, of course, the next day or within a couple of days, I went to the supermarket and they looked so good and they were so nice and inexpensive. But I'm like, nope, you told yourself you're not going to do it. And so I didn't do it. That's willpower.
They had watermelons sitting outside the grocery store yesterday. I don't trust it. I don't know where they got these watermelons from in October, but I don't trust it. How you gonna have watermelons and pumpkins out at the same time?
Mm-mm.
No.
No bueno.
No bueno.
Mm-mm.
Oh my God. All right. So as we transition from summer to fall, it's important to take time to pause and reflect on how the season impacts us physically, mentally, and spiritually. This is a season of change, but can also be a season of growth and gratitude if we choose to embrace it. Whether it's something small, like switching out your closets for cozier clothes, or preparing for the upcoming holidays, or something deeper, like reflecting on the goals we set at the start of the year, fall gives us the space to look at the progress we've made or to acknowledge what hasn't yet come to fruition. Just as the earth rests and prepares for new life, we too can use this time to refocus, take stock of where we are, and gear up for the next chapter in our lives.
Well said.
Thank you. So thank you again for joining us for this episode of Unfiltered Perspectives. Be sure to check out new episodes every Thursday morning, and don't forget to share, rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode.
That was delightful, ladies, and fun. And I enjoyed that. I learned from you guys. I hope you enjoy the cold season. Well, enjoy this forever summer.
Find us on Facebook and YouTube at Unfiltered Perspectives and Instagram at Unfiltered Perspectives IG. And please send your questions, comments, ideas for future episodes to unfilteredperspectives@outlook.com.
And don't forget to look for episodes of Raw, Relationships Are Work, every second and fourth Sunday of every month.
Yes, congratulations to you, Tara, on Raw, Relationships Are Work. We are so very proud of you. So everyone, continue to listen to Tara on Raw and Tara, Kimberly, and Leslie on Unfiltered Perspectives. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we will see you back here next time.